news, views, voices of the global Indian community. India abroad.
Oh, sorry, you have to. All right, don't stay in place. You have to queue up. So I didn't realize the system. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we need them to be official questions. So, oh my goodness, this is a movement. because of the volume of questions, please keep them as short and direct as you can. Yes, please.
I wanted to ask you to elaborate on your definition of secularism. Is it the absence of religion in the state, or the civil equality of religion within the state? And I specifically wanted you to apply this definition to the Uniform Civil Code, because that is a very important topic in India today. And how would, if Congress did achieve a majority in the parliament, how would Congress go about reforming and creating their own Uniform Civil Code if they do want one?
Look, the basic idea is respecting people's perspectives, okay, and believing that all Indian citizens have a unique and different perspective, and they should have a space to have that perspective. And that includes religion, it includes language, it includes the clothes you wear, it includes the food you eat, it includes everything, right? BJP is proposing a uniform civil code. We haven't seen it. We have no idea what they're talking about. So for us to comment on it doesn't make sense. When they pull it out, then we'll have a look and we'll comment on it.
But when you talk about, may I ask a follow-up?
But I think not. Okay, I'm sorry, because I'm sure there'll be variations.
You can ask me the follow-up afterwards.
We're probably going to be even-handed, so yes.
Hello. Mr. Gandhi, you lead the Indy Alliance, which is seen by many as an alternative to the BJP-led NDA government. Looking at the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, your party was not able to agree on seat-sharing policies with your alliance partner, which was Mamata Banerjee's TMC. You also have alliance partners like the Hindutva-based Shiv Sena UBT. My question is, if elected, how will you effectively run a government with such a divided coalition that cannot seem to agree on anything except for the removal of Prime Minister Modi?
No, actually we agree on a lot. We agree that the Constitution of India should be defended. Most of us agree on the idea of the caste census. We agree that two business people, namely Mr. Adani and Mr. Ambani, shouldn't run every single business in India. So for you to say that we don't agree, I think is inaccurate. Second thing is that all coalitions are negotiations, right? So a certain amount of to and fro will always take place. That is perfectly natural. There's nothing wrong with it. And we have run governments again and again which have been successful using coalitions. So we're pretty confident that we can do it again.
Thank you.
And actually, I think if we get it right, we would, sorry, it's not India Alliance. That's a BJP framing. It's India Alliance.
What's the last word stand for?
Alliance.
What does the A stand
Alliance.
for at the end? So wouldn't it be redundant to say India
No,
Alliance?
it's not. Because it's not. Because the whole idea of the alliance was to put across to the people of India that India is being attacked. And it was very successful. And generally the BJP people say India Alliance, but everyone else in India says India Alliance. Thank you.
BJP.
Yes, please.
Hello, Mr. Gandhi. Welcome to the Hilltop over here. My name is Nikash Arpanhalli. I am from Dallas, Texas, and I'm gay and Indian American. Last October, the Indian Supreme Court refused to legalize same-sex marriage. So my question for you, as well as Congress, as well as the India Alliance, is what's the future for Congress's policy towards gender and sexual minorities on the subject of love? What might that future look like in the next 4 years as BJP government continues? And on that same subject, what is the role of Congress and other interlocutors in promoting a freer, fair, and more loving India?
I can't really comment on a Supreme Court judgment. But what I said earlier, from our perspective, what you want to do, how you want to live your life, what religion you want to follow, what you want to wear, what your sexual preferences are, is your business. It's not our business. And for us, we would defend your right and everybody else's rights to express themselves and to live in a way they think fair. As long as you're not disturbing other people, being violent, being aggressive, we tend to accept it.
Thank you. Welcome to Georgetown.
Just before I'm taking the next question, given the weight of questions, am I allowed to extend this to 5:10? Because we started at 4:10. Is that all right with you? So I know I'm looking beyond you, but I should ask you first. And the answer is yes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Good. Yes. Sir.
Who should be the face of the whole party? Do you think you're the best leader to be able to take on Modi, or is there someone better?
I mean, our position in our alliance is that we are not going to answer that question until we won the election. And there are multiple people, very talented people in the India Alliance. So we're not, because the moment we start that discussion, right, it opens the space for the press and the BJP to create issues. So our decision is that we're not going to raise that question. We're going to fight the election, and then after the election we decide.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please.
Hi, Mr. Gandhi. I'm Nikita. I'm a third-year undergraduate student at Georgetown, and I'm originally from Bengaluru in India. My question was more so, and you touched on this with the Congress bank accounts being frozen this election, but in December of 2023, when BJP still had the supermajority, there was the highest number of opposition MPs being suspended from parliament. So obviously it's a very different electoral distribution right now. So my question is more so like, how has your ability to exercise your right to free speech changed? What have you observed? And how is the opposition able to better fulfill its constitutional duties?
Look, there are two different issues, okay? One issue is fighting and winning elections. And we're confident that we will fight and win elections against the BJP. And I think you'll see it in the next 2 or 3 months that we will win those elections, okay? That's very different than undoing the damage the RSS and the BJP have done to our institutions. And that is a much deeper problem, and that's not going to get solved so easily and so simply. But we have to have a strategy for it. I still have 20 plus cases on me. I still have, in India, the law, right, is that you can only do a defamation case if you're the person who's being defamed. I have 20 of those filed by people who haven't defamed, right? So there's a huge set of structures that are being used to attack the opposition, investigative agencies, legal system, and that continues. That hasn't stopped. So, but the real challenge in front of India is how do you make our institutions neutral again? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm right in thinking that lots of people who called Modi objected to what you said about Mr. Modi, right? There are different libel actions from people called Modi, or is that a misreporting?
No, I mean it's a legal case, so I'm not going to go into the details of it. But Yeah, I won't go into the details. It'll get me into trouble.
Hello, Mr. Gandhi. My name is Himank. I'm a recent MBA student from UC Berkeley. I came here to see you and meet you. One, really admire your courageous attempt at bringing vulnerability into politics using words like love. That's indeed very rare. I also did a small census in my class of all the Indians who were in my classroom. Around 7 in 10 said that they would want to return back to India in a few years. This is very different from how the situation was around 10 years ago or 15 years ago in the United States. There seem to be like two factors which are sort of leading to this. One is just the state of American dream right now, and also the improving economic opportunities in India. Around 1 million students have migrated to India, to US from India since the past 5 years. I just want to know, one, what is your comment on this phenomena? And second is, what is your message to students who are not able to avail the economic opportunities because of which they came to the United States?
Look, and I've said this a couple of times, if you looked at global production in the 40s, 50s, 60s, you would find that it was carried out by the United States and by the West. Okay? If you wanted to buy a car in the 60s, you would want to buy an American car. If you wanted to buy a refrigerator, you wanted to buy an American refrigerator. And the West and India handed that over to the Chinese, right? So the reality is that the cell phones you're using, the shirts you're wearing, the shoes you're wearing, most of them are not made in the United States, they're not made in Europe, they're not made in India, they're made in China, right? So there are two activities that countries can do. One is the organizing production. The second is organizing consumption. China organizes production. The West, India, America organizes consumption. China also organizes consumption. So Uber is organizing consumption. Ola in India is organizing consumption. Foxconn is organizing production. Elon Musk organizes production. The components of his car, of course, come from China. The batteries come from China. The motors come from China. And the problem is that a large country like India simply cannot get away with not organizing production. It just won't work, because you will not create the amount of jobs that you need. That's what's happening. So if you look at India, you'll find that there is an IT industry. 1% of the population, 2% of the population, 3% of the population. But if you're a young person who wants a blue-collar job, it's not available. And the only way that job is going to get available is if you start producing, right? And India has just stopped producing. You look at our top businesses, Adani, Ambani, the big guys, they don't produce anything, right? So that's the real question. Now, there's a whole set of structures that don't allow production. Our GST is anti-production. Our GST is entirely designed to incentivize consumption, right? So you have to change completely the architecture of what you're doing. Our district, we call our district, we call them district collectors, right? They should be district producers, right? We need to think about getting into the act of production. We're not doing that. And there's a reason, because the large monopolists don't want India to produce. It's much more convenient just to sell Chinese product, right? You get a rent on it, you sell it in India, you don't have to go through the rigors of production, you don't have to deal with the labor problems, you don't have to deal with the conflicts that production require you to deal with, and you make huge amounts of money. But it's not sustainable. And you can see social tension rising. You can see unemployment numbers rising. So that's really what India has to think about. You have, every district in India has something unique they produce. Moradabad, brass capital. Mirzapur, carpets. Bellari, jeans. Surat, diamonds. Right? Now, the Indian government has forgiven 16 lakh crores in bank loans to 25 business people. How many of those people were actually producers? How many small businesses were forgiven their loans? How many medium-sized businesses were forgiven their loans? Not a single one. Even farmers, who are basically producers, their loans have not been forgiven. So my question is, why should 20 people, 25 people, get a free gift of 16 lakh crores? For what? What have they done? And if you're giving them that gift, give it to other people as well. Right? So these are the type of questions that India will have to deal with. Now, to say that India can't produce is wrong. Because I can tell you examples where India is producing. I can tell you that Tamil Nadu does quite a good job at production. I can tell you that Pune does quite a good job at production. I can tell you parts of Karnataka are pretty good at production. The entire system is designed so that they can't succeed. Try. Go and talk to some of the guys. Go and talk to some of the guys who are trying to build automobiles and scooters in India and see what they say. The entire system is rigged against them. So that's what you have to think about.
We've only got a few minutes left, so if the last 2 or 3 questioners could be efficient, please.
Absolutely. Namaste, Rahul Gandhi ji. My name is Apurva Ramakrishnan, and well, because in your talk you did mention caste and reservation, I'm going to throw you a hardball question. In that, I would specifically like to know your thoughts and your party's thoughts on at what point, if at all, would we move away, or would you move away from the idea of caste-based reservations being a permanent solution to the underlying grassroots issues that necessitate such reservation-based systems? At what point would we as a society, but more importantly you and your party, look at caste as caste-based reservations as a treatment of these symptoms and not the actual problem?
Why do you say caste-based reservations are treatment of the symptoms?
Because I believe that the reservations, when they came about historically as well, were there to provide equal access to opportunity. And the issue is, even today, the access to opportunity is where the lack is there. And do you think there are better ways to strengthen our systems institutionally at the grassroots levels than the caste-based reservations?
Well, let's look at the numbers. If you look at the Indian government, and you look at, there are 70 bureaucrats who run the Indian government, secretaries to the government of India. These are the guys that take pretty much all the financial decisions in the government. Okay? If you add up Dalits, tribals, OBCs, they come to 73%. Out of 70 people, there's one tribal. I think 3 Dalits, 3 OBCs. So, and I think a minority. So, 90% of India, in the government of India, has access to less than 10% of the positions that determine how money is going to be spent. And when you actually look at the financial numbers, then tribals get 10 paisa out of 100 rupees. Dalits get, I think, 5 rupees out of 100 rupees. And OBCs get a similar number. So the fact of the matter is that they're not getting participation. Right? And the problem is that 90% of India is not able to play, right? Go through the list of every single business leader in India. And I've done it. Show me the tribal name. Show me the Dalit name. Show me the OBC name. Out of the top 200, I think there's one OBC. They're 50% of India. So we're not treating the symptom. That's the problem. Right? Now, it's not the only tool. There are other tools. But we will think of scrapping reservations when India is a fair place. And India is not a fair place. Now, that creates a problem. Because there are many people who come from the upper caste, right? Who say, look, what have we done wrong? Right? Why are we being punished? And so then you think about increasing dramatically the supply of some of these things. You think about decentralizing power. You think about involving many more people in the governance of our country. Right? You think of opening up, I mean, frankly, with all due respect, I don't think any of you are ever going to become Adani or Ambani. And there's a reason for that. You can't. Because those doors are closed. So the answer to people in the general caste is you open those doors.
I think we have time for one final question, so make it count.
Hello, Mr. Gandhi. My name is Risa. I'm a third-year student at Georgetown, and I'm originally from Mumbai. My question to you is based on your comment that our institutions have been captured. I wanted to ask, what are the actual policy reforms that the INC sees in order to uncapture our institutions? You said that our education system is extremely unfair and only really prioritizes the success of the rich. So how can we change these systems to make them more meritocratic and make them service the general population of India?
I mean, the institutional capture is something that's new. And frankly, we're going to have to navigate that when we come to that point, because we've never dealt with that. We've never dealt with a situation where, the RSS has filled an entire institution with its people. And so we would have to, we have some thoughts about it, but we'd have to do it as and when it happens. In terms of the education system, it's just dramatically increasing access, dramatically increasing the size of the education system, putting much more money into it. The best Indian education institutions are still government institutions. IIT is not a private institution, right? IIM is not a private institution. People forget that. There's no private institution that matches the IITs. Everybody accepts that. So putting effort into designing new institutions, scaling up old institutions, and decentralizing some of these things, I think would help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with apologies to the other questioners, I'm gonna have to end it now. But I just want to thank Mr. Gandhi. That was one of the most unusual interviews I've done. Love being cited more often than I normally expect, and it was very, very interesting to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you
so much for sparing the time.